and Techstrong.tv.
ContainerJournal.com is the leading online destination for centralized computing-related content. ContainerJournal.com covers all aspects of software containers, from container management, data management for containers, container security, networking for containers, to the entire container ecosystem, Kubernetes, microservices, serverless, and more. ContainerJournal.com has the largest selection of container-related news, featuring breaking news, blog posts, podcasts, and more. Visit www.containerjournal.com to learn more. DevOps.com is the #1 online destination for DevOps education and community building. DevOps.com covers all aspects of DevOps, including DevOps best practices and tools, DevOps culture, DevSecOps, business impact, continuous testing, continuous delivery, and more. DevOps.com has the largest collection of original DevOps content, featuring breaking news, blog posts, podcasts, and more. Visit www.devops.com to learn more. DevOps.com, where the world meets DevOps. SecurityBoulevard.com is the leading resource for news, analysis, and education on challenges facing the cybersecurity industry. SecurityBoulevard.com covers all aspects of cybersecurity, including data security, DevSecOps, cloud security, application security, network security, security threats, and more. SecurityBoulevard.com has the largest selection of security content, featuring breaking news, blog posts, podcasts, and more. Visit www.securityboulevard.com to learn more. SecurityBoulevard.com, home of Security Bloggers Network.
Cloud Native Now is the web's leading resource for the growing cloud native ecosystem. CloudNativeNow.com is your destination for news, thought leadership, features, and webinars on cloud native architecture, Kubernetes, serverless, cloud native application development, microservices, service mesh, cloud native security, and more. Stay on the cutting edge of modern application development at Cloud Native Now.
I'm Bonnie Schneider, sustainability contributor.
Everybody, welcome back here. We are still at KubeCon on, I guess, what day is this? I think it's Tuesday. I think it's Wednesday. I think it's Friday. No, it's one of those days we're here at Kube. First day is Wednesday. And I'm very pleased to be joined by someone who's been on Techstrong TV before. A great guest is Ben Potter, who is head of product with Coder. Welcome, Ben.
Hey, thanks. I'm excited to be here.
Good to catch up with you again. Thanks for sponsoring the breakfast that we had Tuesday morning.
Oh, it was great.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
A lot of good people, a lot of good conversations.
Yeah, very good grapefruit juice too.
It was good. The food was good. The venue, kind of a nice start to before we got, the insanity started happening, right?
Yeah.
That is Cloud Native Con, KubeCon. Well, for folks that don't know Coder, tell us a little bit about Coder.
Yeah, so Coder is a platform for cloud developer environments. So we make it very easy for a developer to click a button, get a cloud instance running on a Kubernetes cluster with all of their tools, languages, and dependencies pre-installed. So a developer doesn't have to go through the process of setting up their laptop. They could even do it all through the web browser, and yet still use the editors that they like to use to get their work done.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Well, maybe we can contrast with sort of developer portal. That's one of the popular aspects of platform engineering. Now, you can probably imagine a lot of different definitions of what that means. Backstage is a pretty popular one. There are other things, of course, too. In a way, I have always kind of envisioned as sort of this shelf of all the tools and templates or guidelines or whatever you might need to kind of build your environment and start becoming be productive. But that's still work too, going from there, even if you've got patterns to work from and code libraries, and you still got to have an environment to put it all together. I imagine that's part of what you're talking about with a cloud developer environment?
Yeah, absolutely. So yesterday I went to BackstageCon, and it was very cool to see how different organizations are creating this kind of one-stop shop for developers to get their tools. And I saw it framed in a few different ways. One that really resonated with me was the security angle, where they essentially said things that developers create and use in Backstage has security included. Developers don't necessarily have to think about it. If you want to do something outside of Backstage, that's fine, but then you have to think about a lot of these security aspects that may not necessarily be your forte or your interest, where Backstage kind of provides security as a platform. Yeah, so that's internal developer portals, is essentially being able to kind of provide these tools out of the box for you. How an IDP compares to a CDE, a cloud developer environment, is an IDP, for the most part, helps with a lot of stuff after developers kind of done writing and committing their code. Maybe it helps with day zero in terms of getting like a scaffolded project set up, but then when a developer actually needs to get into their environment, the tools that they're using are entirely different from the tools that Backstage offers. For example, Python, Docker, Java, and these are all things that developers need to set up, and those things need to be secured as well. So that's where a CDE comes in, is you can essentially create a secure by default developer experience for day two onward. So yeah, that's how I see those two things kind of playing together.
Cool, then, so for a CDE, is it kind of like having an image of an operating system that you start with? Or is it an automation that builds things with whatever the latest process, security, tools, configurations? Is it more dynamic, or is it more, here's an image you can work with? I don't know if that's the right term to use.
Yeah, we actually have a combination of both. So when we started, we were only the image, which is maybe a central platform team kind of secures these images with the tools on it, and then offers them to developers to use for their workspaces. We still support that, and a lot of people are doing that. What we're seeing people do on top of this is using the dev container spec on top of secured images for developers to then be able to bring their own tools while still being from a secured source, such as an artifact manager like Artifactory. Sure. Yeah. So that kind of creates this nice hybrid of, there's a secured base image by the platform team, but then developer teams can then go in and bring their own tools as well. Of course, still coming from a secured source, but where these tools actually belong.
We hope, yes.
Yeah.
Is it also kind of a walled garden, kind of like a sandbox, so things can't escape or things can't come in that you don't want to, or is it that tightly buttoned down, or do you have that option?
A lot of our users do a walled garden approach, where artifacts can only be downloaded from Artifactory, for example, and not the public internet. And I think the benefit to that is you're able to identify problems and security issues while you're developing, as opposed to later on in a pipeline.
Okay. What is, developers are pretty independent folks.
Yeah.
We like the tools we like, and there's some fun in creating our environments, right? So maybe I don't know if giving up is the right word, but what's the thing that folks usually have to get used to the most about working in a CDE versus, let's say, a kind of DIY approach?
Yeah, and it is a trade-off. It's not a trade-off in terms of the editors people are using and their themes and extensions. We support all of that, but it is in kind of the way you work. For example, these workspaces are designed to be like ephemeral, which is maybe good from a security and a workflow perspective, but it means that the tools that you installed yesterday manually won't be there the next day, because the only way to really get these tools in long term is through automation and through building these images and dev containers. So yeah, a question we commonly get is, I installed Java in my workspace, and then the next day it wasn't there, and it's like, oh well, let's do this the the coder way, essentially.
Interesting. One of the things that really resonated when you and I talked previously was we don't work on just one thing. We may work on
Right.
3 applications, but
Yeah.
8 environments for each one of them, but
Yeah.
depending on what's running and what combination of what cloud and
Yeah.
stack and all of that kind of thing. And it can be nearly impossible to keep that up to date, more or less do a bunch of work and then realize I'm not in the right environment here. That seems to be a big time savings right there.
Yeah, I like it because I can, I don't do development every day, but I can go into the coder project if I wanted to make a change, and I know that I have all the latest tools in there, and I can context switch from that to maybe doing docs work, maybe to doing like an infrastructure project, all of which I know is using the latest and greatest tools, and it just works. I don't have to worry about old dependencies and old installs. So yeah, for me the kind of project switching has been huge using Coder.
I don't know if we've talked about this yet. How does the, we haven't mentioned AI yet. I think that's a record to go this long without talking about AI. And now we're doing much more development, not only with AI ML, but with large language models and vector databases and training models and things like that. How does that change or influence kind of CDE and how you think about it? Is that something we're just starting to kind of explore and figure out, or have you made some progress on that yet?
Yeah, what's cool here is we have users already using Coder for AI use cases. So it's not just a buzzword or something that we'd like to see happen, but something that's actually happening. And it was something too that was kind of informed by how our users are using it. So the main one that I think has been extremely kind of obvious, but it's giving developers access to cloud GPUs. So for people who need to do training, whether it's like a local model or with a remote one, you still need GPUs to be able to do these things at scale. And cloud GPUs are very hard to get, and the ML engineers might not want to be the person also fiddling in the cloud and getting the tuning and picking the GPUs and getting them to start and stop right. So being able to use Coder as a platform to give those developers GPUs directly for that kind of loop development is really important. The other one we've seen, again, where customers are actually doing this, is just pre-installing AI tools in workspaces, whether it's a local model or something like Copilot that's an IDE extension, but then kind of adds magic in. So the same magic that, I already automatically have the right version of Python. I also have Copilot, and this is like the default dev experience, essentially.
I'm curious, and this may not be part of what Coder does, maybe it is. How are people thinking about putting the guardrails around the variations of Copilot for doing development with? Because now you have kind of an unknown source. Well, you know where the source is, but you don't know where all of its sources are coming from necessarily. Yeah. To add to your code enhancement, code creation.
This is something I'm also really interested in as well. A lot of the organizations we've talked to have actually just rolled out Copilot and used the guardrails that maybe Microsoft has in place for that, or Azure has in place for that. But I have a feeling as more and more kind of workloads get on, that's not going to cut it, and they're going to want more auditing and more security controls around it. The way our product helps with that is we do in a small way, and I think as we learn more from our users, we can do more. We can essentially control and create governance around what users can use Copilot and what can't, both from a network layer as well as just a role-based access layer. So you could create a sensitive network that only uses local models, and then Copilot ones for more public open source activities. So that's essentially, again, baking in the best practices from the beginning. Maybe more sensitive, use a local model. Less sensitive, use Copilot. But again, I'm super interested here because I think we're still very, very early in this.
It seems like we're all kind of learning different parts of that whole ecosystem and how to work with it, how to manage it, where do we need controls, where don't we?
Yeah, I mean, I think my answer for you even a week ago or 2 weeks ago would have been totally different. I'm
probably,
really
if I would have asked you last time we talked, now here's what we're thinking about.
Yeah.
So how about any announcements? Did you announce some things at the show?
Yeah, so we recently released our Backstage plugin. So I think this is a great way for people who are already using Backstage to then add that zero friction setup for the dev environment. And it also lets you start kind of introducing and thinking about the tools that developers use on a daily basis when they're writing code, not just when they're deploying code. Again, I think Backstage does a great job with the deploying and test and preview aspect of it, but I think integrating a CDE, whether it's Coder or whether it's even just a local dev container, which we also made a plugin for, really thinking about the tools that developers use every day is kind of the next step in platform engineering.
Very nice. I'm curious, you've been at the booth most of the day, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah.
You're talking to a lot of people. What are you hearing from people at KubeCon? What's is there some themes of topics or questions that are coming up?
A lot about security and a lot about Backstage, actually. We would demo the Backstage plugin and more people would come and be like, oh, is that Backstage? And I'm like, maybe we should also just put this up on the monitor so people can kind of see that we have
Put it in a loop up there so they can
definitely.
see at least some of it working.
Yeah, so if you go over to the Coder booth now, you'll see that actually up and
these guys here behind the camera do that kind of thing, so it can help you out, I'll bet.
Cool.
So security, what do they want to know about security?
Yeah, I think there's like two topics. I think supply chain security's still kind of top of mind, as well as more and more, and this is probably just because we're talking about editors, but more and more about getting source code off of developer laptops. Whether that's moving to something like virtual desktop or ideally something that's a little bit snappier and faster, like a CDE. So those are the kind of two topics I've seen, but again, I think that's because we're in the IDE space, so I'm sure there's a lot of other security conversations going on.
Well, and it'll be a different set of questions and new AI questions at the next KubeCon or whatever conference. So talk to us about if someone wants to go give Coder a try. Being cloud-based, I'm sure it's got to be pretty easy to get into.
Yeah, so if you like GitHub, Coder's on GitHub. Just go to github.com/coder. Our docs are also a great place to get started on coder.com. And yeah, if you wanted to try the Backstage plugin as well, it's the first thing on our blog right now is the Backstage plugin, and it's also in our GitHub.
Okay, very good. Coder.com, check out the blog about the Backstage announcement. Good, well, hang in there. Got a few more days to go.
Day 2, I guess.
You know, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon here at these events, I guess, if that applies. But yeah, it's, at lunchtime, this place was insane. They started making announcements over the speakers. I felt like we were in the airport terminal, and you're like, hold on a second, I can't talk. They're announcements. It is just insane. If you're not here, it's crazy. But it's a lot of fun too, and it's great to see people. Great to see you in person. And
yeah, likewise.
Spend some more time together. So great. Well, thanks for joining us, coming by. Be sure and check out the Backstage plugin. More importantly, just spend some time with Coder, get a feel for cloud development environments, and really think about well, what if I wasn't doing these things? I'm using this kind of a technology. How's that going to help me? If you're one of those folks that gets to support 25 variations of 5 different apps, my heart bleeds for you. But this sounds like a good way to help you out with that problem too. So thanks, Ben.
Yeah.
Good chatting with you.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time. Stay tuned. I think we have one more interview coming, maybe. Do we have any more interviews coming? Meh, don't know. So this may be our sign off here. So if I'm wrong, then you'll see another interview. But I think we're done here for the day. What time do we start broadcasting tonight, gentlemen, or tomorrow? 11 a.m. tomorrow? Okay, 11 a.m. Paris time, Central Europe time. We'll be cranking out more interviews, talking with more great folks like Ben. And you'll see some more of the interviews of the day back here on Techstrong TV from the first day of KubeCon. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. See you tomorrow.
CISO Talk, to hear how real-world CISOs are dealing with today's real-world issues. From enabling secure remote workers to accelerating secure cloud adoption, defending against a pandemic of security attacks and beyond, CISO Talk covers the cyber topics you want to learn about. With your hosts, Unisys CISO Matt Newfield and MediaOps CEO Alan Schimmel, featuring a revolving panel of CISO cyber experts. This is where CISOs talk. Join us on digitalanarchist.com and techstrong.tv.
ContainerJournal.com is the leading online destination for centralized computing-related content. ContainerJournal.com covers all aspects of software containers, from container management, data management for containers, container security, networking for containers, to the entire container ecosystem, Kubernetes, microservices, serverless, and more. ContainerJournal.com has the largest selection of container-related news, featuring breaking news, blog posts, podcasts, and more. Visit www.containerjournal.com to learn more. DevOps.com is the #1 online destination for DevOps education and community building. DevOps.com covers all aspects of DevOps, including DevOps best practices and tools, DevOps culture, DevSecOps, business impact, continuous testing, continuous delivery, and more. DevOps.com has the largest collection of original DevOps content, featuring breaking news, blog posts, podcasts, and more. Visit www.devops.com to learn more. DevOps.com, where the world meets DevOps. SecurityBoulevard.com is the leading resource for news, analysis, and education on challenges facing the cybersecurity industry. SecurityBoulevard.com covers all aspects of cybersecurity, including data security, DevSecOps, cloud security, application security, network security, security threats, and more. SecurityBoulevard.com has the largest selection of security content, featuring breaking news, blog posts, podcasts, and more. Visit www.securityboulevard.com to learn more. SecurityBoulevard.com, home of Security Bloggers Network.
Cloud Native Now is the web's leading resource for the growing cloud native ecosystem. CloudNativeNow.com is your destination for news, thought leadership, features, and webinars on cloud native architecture, Kubernetes, serverless, cloud native application development, microservices, service mesh, cloud native security, and more. Stay on the cutting edge of modern application development at Cloud Native Now.
I'm Bonnie Schneider, sustainability contributor to the Techstrong Group. I'm excited to introduce you to a groundbreaking new initiative from Techstrong Research, the Sustainability Pulse Meter. The Pulse Meter offers valuable insights into how environmental responsibility factors into tech purchasing decisions for key players in the industry. Position your company as a leader in the industry and differentiate from your competitors with the Sustainability Pulse Meter, offered exclusively from Techstrong Research.
CISO Talk, to hear how real-world CISOs are dealing with today's real-world issues. From enabling secure remote workers to accelerating secure cloud adoption, defending against a pandemic of security attacks and beyond, CISO Talk covers the cyber topics you want to learn about. With your hosts, Unisys CISO Matt Newfield and Media Ops CEO Alan Schimmel, featuring a revolving panel of CISO cyber experts. This is where CISOs talk. Join us on digitalanarchist.com and techstrong.tv.
ContainerJournal.com is the leading online destination for centralized computing-related content. ContainerJournal.com covers all aspects of software containers, from container management, data management for containers, container security, networking for containers, to the entire container ecosystem, Kubernetes, microservices, serverless, and more. ContainerJournal.com has the largest selection of container-related news, featuring breaking news, blog posts, podcasts, and more. Visit www.containerjournal.com to learn more. DevOps.com is the #1 online destination for DevOps education and community building. DevOps.com covers all aspects of DevOps, including DevOps best practices and tools, DevOps culture, DevSecOps, business impact, continuous testing, continuous delivery, and more. DevOps.com has the largest collection of original DevOps content, featuring breaking news, blog posts, podcasts, and more. Visit www.devops.com to learn more. DevOps.com, where the world meets DevOps. SecurityBoulevard.com is the leading resource for news, analysis, and education on challenges facing the cybersecurity industry. SecurityBoulevard.com covers all aspects of cybersecurity, including data security, DevSecOps, cloud security, application security, network security, security threats, and more. SecurityBoulevard.com has the largest selection of security content, featuring breaking news, blog posts, podcasts, and more. Visit www.securityboulevard.com to learn more. SecurityBoulevard.com, home of Security Bloggers Network.
Cloud Native Now is the web's leading resource for the growing cloud-native ecosystem. CloudNativeNow.com is your destination for news, thought leadership, features, and webinars on cloud-native architecture, Kubernetes, serverless, cloud-native application development, microservices, service mesh, cloud-native security, and more. Stay on the cutting edge of modern application development at Cloud Native Now.
I'm Bonnie Schneider, sustainability contributor to the Techstrong Group. I'm excited to introduce you to a groundbreaking new initiative from Techstrong Research, the Sustainability Pulse Meter. The Pulse Meter offers valuable insights into how environmental responsibility factors into tech purchasing decisions for key players in the industry. Position your company as a leader in the industry and differentiate from your competitors with the Sustainability Pulse Meter, offered exclusively from Techstrong Research.
CISO Talk, to hear how real-world CISOs are dealing with today's real-world issues. From enabling secure remote workers to accelerating secure cloud adoption, defending against a pandemic of security attacks and beyond, CISO Talk covers the cyber topics you want to learn about. With your hosts, Unisys CISO Matt Newfield and MediaOps CEO Alan Schimmel, featuring a revolving panel of CISO cyber experts. This is where CISOs talk. Join us on Digital Anarchy